Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram. Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram. Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Ram, Rama Rama, Rama Ram, Rama Rama, Rama Ram, Rama Rama, Rama Ram. Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram. Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram, Rama 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 Ram. Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Ashram. It is once again with deep, deep gratitude that we have been able to gather here and chant His powerful, auspicious name, the powerful shrine of Bhagwan. It is no small grace. Fortunate are we to have invoked this grace and be able to offer it at His lotus feet. As Nama lotuses, we have been seeing glimpses of Bhagwan's life for nearly now 1.5 years, with the exception of 1 month in between. Every day, some glimpse or the other of Bhagwan's life, or the glory of Bhagwan's Nama, the experiences of various devotees, and the great teachings that he lived. Every one of them. Now, they say it has come up to 450. So it's time to remember it again and again, to assimilate the essence of all this. It is one thing to listen to stories and teachings, but it's another thing, completely different, to go into the theme of it, the essence of it, and get a grip of that and assimilate, digest it, and make it part of our energy. It's called manana. Shravana is listening, and then comes manana. Repeated thinking of his teachings, repeated thinking of the glimpses that we have been going through. Bhagwan has declared even a little movement of this beggar, or anything connected with this beggar, any experience, anything that is interesting about this beggar, if you bring to your mind again and again, This beggar promises you it would be nectar, amrita, ambrosia. You will get more benefit than one would get for 1,000 years of tapas in a wild forest. So you see, he has made it so simple and easy. Just chanting his name or remembering any incident, anything about anybody's life connected with Bhagwan. Here is a big offering that you would get more benefit than you would get for 1,000 years of tapas in a dense and wild forest. Who could be so generous, so magnanimous, except the Guru, whose only concern is the devotees' welfare. That he tries to make everything simple. In fact, he said, one of the satsangs, we saw what exactly is the state of Nirvana, the state of fullness, the state of the ultimate Ananda. And then Bhagwan says, very difficult to attain this state for many people, most of the people. So what do you do next? Go to a guru who is one with God, who has attained the state of Nirvana, and do Seva to him. They would take you there very easily and quickly. This is his promise. By simply chanting his name and offering everything to him, offering all our actions, our everyday actions, as an instrument in his hands. And remembering the Leelas, remembering how he comes to the rescue of a devotee in varied circumstances, how intelligently the grace becomes active. So when there is such a simple pathway to the highest state, why would we adopt very complicated methods of sadhana? So let's remember, we have listened enough. Now this is time to do some manana, to bring to the mind whatever you have learned again and again and again, until it percolates into the depths of your soul and gets assimilated, that it would begin to express itself as actions very naturally. So with this aim in view, I feel that we must give a little rest to the satsangs. So from tomorrow, it would be just chanting in the morning, Arati, and then 6 to 7 chanting, and evening Arati and 6:15 to 7:15 chanting. In the meantime, if there is any question which is relevant to our everyday life, our everyday sadhana, which needs some clarification, or some teachings of Bhagwan which we don't get the wind of, we can discuss it as per the prompting of Bhagwan from inside. Now there is one question which I dealt with this morning in Tamil, which we would repeat in English now, and with that we would conclude this series. Vaishnavite devotee says that in Vaishnava Tattva, it is the custom, it is the tradition that the devotee says, whatever mistakes I have committed, whatever sins I have committed, I beg your forgiveness, O my Lord. I am responsible for them, and I have done it out of ignorance. Please forgive me, begging for forgiveness with the assurance that I would not indulge in it again. And whatever good has come out of me, it is by your grace, that I am very grateful to you for that. Now this sounds perfect. This is what we exactly feel the way we are now, completely ruled by the ego self. Here, it has been given to us to understand what is good and what is bad, to discriminate. Between the good and the bad, and therefore we should acknowledge our weaknesses and our strengths, and accordingly we have to develop a kinship with God and seek His forgiveness whenever the weakness takes over, and be grateful to Him whenever the strength takes over. That's absolutely fine. That's the way it should be. Then the Vaishnavite goes on to ask, how can we reconcile this with what Bhagwan says, that whatever happens, happens by the will of God, and it's perfect, and it's grace. How can I do something terrible and say, it is perfect, it is the will of God, it is grace, and walk away, get away with it? Is that Dharma? How can Bhagwan say whatever happens is perfect? The question is very relevant, and we are bound to clarify this. Bhagwan speaks from a higher level, whereas we are at a lower level, where the ego self takes over all the time. In the beginning of worship of God, we define grace as something granted by God when we wish for it. The fulfillment of our prayer is considered as grace. And when something goes wrong, after much prayer to Bhagwan, if it doesn't happen what we want, what we have prayed for, then we feel let down by God. We say, how can Bhagwan do this to me? Doesn't He have ears? Doesn't He have... Will He not see what I am going through? Will He not hear me? My screaming, my cries. How could He do this to me? So, when this is the level, the state of our consciousness, then it is very true, we have to acknowledge. Whenever God fulfills our prayer, we can acknowledge it as grace. And the other times, what Bhagwan says, instead of branding it as let down by God, you think that God is doing it for your own good. That it contains some ashirvad, it contains some grace, some blessing. You do not know what it is while it's happening because it looks so negative. But if you very obstinately believe that it's God-given and God is my well-wisher, He would definitely not harm me, so it's got to be a blessing. And then soon it stands revealed how it's a blessing. But here we need to have faith in the statement, in the saying of Bhagwan. Someone who is in communion with God all the time, who has become one with God, he can only speak the truth. Since it is not our experience, it is not our truth, it is only the truth of a jnani. So what do? We trust him. We trust his wisdom. So it's a lesson for higher classes. When you are in 5th standard, when you are in elementary school, it may be very difficult to understand the reader meant for 10th standard, 11th standard, in a higher class. And again, when you are in high school, it would be difficult to understand your PhD lessons. So there are levels and levels. At our level, where our ego is very active, there is good and there is bad. These are all relative truths. When we live in the world of relative truths, what the Vaishnavite says is right. I have to repent for what I have done because I am all the time thinking that I am doing it. I am thinking, I am talking, I am doing. So I have to face the punishment for my sins. So nobody can walk out saying, God has willed it and that's why I have done it. So it's left to God to deal with it. God would deal with it the way He likes. So when He gives punishment also, it is by His will. You have to take it. When you receive punishment for a sin, then also you must think that it is God's will. And receive it, accept the punishment. You cannot just get away with it, putting the blame on God and escape. Where you have to accept the punishment as well as His grace, as His will and grace. This is a higher level lesson where you believe that God is the source of all life. God alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. Like our Bhagwan says, like Sri Raman Maharishi says, there is only the self, there are no others. There are some great scientists who have proved with the electric wires and electrodes and whatnot that before a thought occurs at the conscious level, it already exists in the subconscious. It has already entered the conscious, your conscious level, and there is a little gap before it enters the brain and you recognize it. Your brain recognizes it as a thought. So what we do is only recognition of thoughts. You can go sit in a corner and say to yourself, okay, I want to think now, and try. Whether you are able to think only what you wanted to think. It's raising of thoughts, streaming. And thoughts may come from outside, thoughts may come from inside. You don't even know where they are coming from. You simply acknowledge them as yours. But even the modern experiments prove that before the thought is recognized by the brain, it has already entered the conscious level. There are the experiments, the details. We have no time to go into the details of the experiment. So, something like ringing a bell, they say they keep some people, and the command comes from the brain to ring the bell, and before they do it, there is an electrical impulse showing that even before the thought enters as a command, the electrical impulse is there, which is indicative of the thought, presence of thought. So there are other experiments as well, we wouldn't go into it. The fact is, the thought enters your consciousness and then the brain recognizes it. And there's a gap, which means the thought has already come to you, you merely recognize it. You don't think the thoughts. What does that again mean? That you have already been programmed. Your role as so and so in such and such family, in such and such society, in such and such country. It is completely designed already, preordained. You are a programmed robot. And every moment, every moment, every movement of yours is programmed. The free will is only an appearance, and again, it's all at a higher level you can understand. That is, it's only when you accept that God alone exists and there is nothing else, no one else, then God becomes the source of good and evil. It is He who created all the evil men. It is He who created the Rakshasas. It is He who created the Rishis and Devas. So, since it is coming from the very source, what we understand and what the Shastras say, what the great people say is, God plays a game. It is on the screen of the world. God is eternally running a show, a world show where He plays the role of the hero, He plays the role of the villain, He plays the role of these sub-characters. He is the dialogues, He writes the dialogues, and He is the dialogues. He is the costumes, He is the director, and He is the audience. It is for His own joy that He is running this show from eternity to eternity, where He plays the one divinity, takes up the role of every creature of His creation and play out the role to perfection. So when you look at it from that point of view, from the highest truth, then whatever happens is perfect. Whatever happens, happens only by His will, and it's perfect because God is perfect. His Leelas are perfect. It's like you climb up the mountain, you go to the very peak, and look from there, the view of Tiruvannamalai is different. You come down the hill to the road and look at everything. The view is entirely different, and both are true at their levels because they are your experience. So, it is only in the beginning we say that all the mistakes are mine. But as you develop, as you purify your mind more and more, as the heart gets purified, you begin to see the grace of God in everything. Bhagwan was able to say, even after 3 days of starvation, he was able to say, by Father's grace, this beggar didn't get anything at all to eat. He's talking from the peak of the mountain. We would also be able to do it at some time or the other, in some janma or the other. The evolution is going on for every creature. And the srishti, the creation, the sustenance, sthiti, and vinash, that is the destruction. It's going on from eternity to eternity. And it's all by the will of God. And it is He who plays all the roles. So when somebody is suffering, and then you say, why would God let him suffer so badly? God would say, my dear boy, I am suffering. I am playing your role. And it is my suffering. You take it upon yourself and you say you are suffering. You don't exist separately except as an instrument in my hand. So the idea is you practice that He is the doer, that God is right inside me, and He has put the life in me, He has put the breath in me, and He is activating my brain to think. He is activating my eyes to see. He is activating my ears to hear. He is activating my whole body to move. And it is He, through this instrument, is doing everything. He is the real doer. So I have no right to own up anything at all. So I cannot own up the evil, nor can I own up the good. Both good and the evil, they come from the source within. The source that is playing out your role. So what I am trying to say, at our level, you cannot say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am God. And then the next minute somebody gives you a slap and then you would scream out of pain and you would swear. If you are God, you cannot do this. So it's one thing to say Aham Brahmasmi, and it's entirely a different thing to experience it. So at our level, what the Vaishnavite says alone is true, because I think that I am doing, I am thinking. But I am not thinking, the thought enters and my brain merely recognizes the thoughts. I've been designed in a certain way, and that's the way I would play my role without knowing it. So at our level, I have to admit the mistakes that I have committed and beg God to forgive me and attribute all that is good in me to the grace of God and be grateful to Him. As we develop this attitude and go about it more deeply, the heart will get purified more and more and more. And at one level, you will understand the subtleties of creation and sustenance, how the law of karma is playing up, continuing this creation from janma to janma, from time to time, and how everything happens in our world where the ego is very active by the relentless law of karma. So I hope I have explained to the best of my ability, and if there is still doubt, maybe we could take it up some other time. But unless we get questions relevant to our everyday life like this, we would give our satsangs a temporary rest until I get the prompting again from Bhagwan. Let's submit our today's prayer. Bhagwan, the what? Karuna Sagar, the ocean of grace. Just cast one compassionate glance upon us, and then the whole entire humanity will get released from the clutches of these terrible viruses, and there would be normalcy. Once again, the cheer and activity of life. We beg you again and again, 1,000,000 times, to wipe out, to uproot the negativities of heart, the panic, anger, grief, jealousy, self-pride, and desires for the worldly things, one after the other, multiplying desires. Only you can uproot them, and we can only beg you to do it because you are the doer. You are play acting our roles, and we are helpless before it. And Bhagwan, kindly arrest the rapid spread of the diseases, enter those medicines so that the medicines would work to destroy those viruses and all those great, great, great people who are fighting the disease in the field, unmindful of their own comfort and the challenges they have to face. Please give them protection and all-round welfare. We also beg you for a boost to our economy and support to all the steps that are being taken towards its development. Above all, we beg you again and again, 1,000,000 times, for constant remembrance of your name and to be willing and good instruments in your hands, not in the hands of Maya, so that we could run our everyday life as an offering to you, knowing that you are the doer, you are the indweller, is the real doer, that I am only an instrument. It's just recognition of this, remembering this truth, recognition of it, and practicing it is all that we can do and that we should do. And then we seek that final, huge, supreme grace by which we get complete purification, so that we could only see, like Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar, all those great masters who lived before him, only your presence, your blessings, and your Leelas in all happenings of life, in all places. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.